February the 7th, and we're at Eastbay Speedway in Florida. Hi everybody, I'm Jerry Clum with the Racing Review video. Yes, I said it's Thursday the 7th. Last night's show, the opener, Wednesday the 6th, was rained out, a torrential Florida downpour. Not unusual for this time of year in Florida. So the first show has been moved up to the second day. There'll be an entire program, though. They're going to be running on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and now Sunday night instead of Friday as the original plans called for. And here we are at Eastbay Speedway, Gibsonton, Florida, just outside Tampa, near the bay. And this is the ninth annual Eastbay Winter Sprint Car Nationals. I think you're going to see some great racing tonight. We've got a field of 58 sprint cars. Some of the biggest names in the nation are here at Eastbay. Now, there's a competitive race being run on the other side of the state. A lot of people thought because that racetrack was putting up bigger money that Eastbay would be short on cars. Well, that's not the case. The drivers came out and supported the All-Star Circuit of Champions, and there's a good stands in the crowds coming into the stands right now. It's going to be a great night of racing if the weather holds up. The weatherman says it's fair now, but there's a good chance it might rain later on this evening and rain out this opening race. Let's go down through the pits now, talk to some of the drivers, and there's a couple of young ones here we're going to try to see, and then we're going to cover the sprint car, qualifying, the heat races, and the racing event. For the Racing Review video, I'm Jerry Clum saying, let's go racing. Eastbay Raceway, 1985. This is the 9th annual running of the Eastbay Winternationals for the sprint cars, and as we said before, it looks like it's going to be one of the best years yet. We've got 58 entries in the pits tonight, and some of the fastest cars anyone's ever seen. A lot of driver changes. Randy Smith from Iowa now driving the Merle Construction 5M car. Of course, Kelly Kinzer, he finished second in the 1984 All-Star point standings. Kelly's still with the Butch and Jane Smith team out of Kentucky and looking tough for 1985. Randy Smith, driving the 56 Shields car, is also on hand. And we've got the sales road. All the vendors from the racing parts come in. And talk about a young driver, there's Jeff Gordon from Vallejo, California, 13 years old. We'll be talking to Jeff sometime this week. And there's Sport Allen, a 14-year-old from Florida. 13 and 14-year-olds driving sprint cars. Doesn't seem possible, but these boys are good, and their futures look very bright. They're driving top equipment. This Nance car, driven by Sport Allen, has already won him a feature this year in Florida. And Sport, who broke his arm roller skating a few weeks ago, doesn't think he's going to be real competitive today. A lot of new designs and ideas on hand here at the Eastbay track. The guys get a chance to bring their equipment out, and it's the first time it's run all year, and a chance for them to try new factory setups, new shocks, new tires, whatever the setup might be. They put them to use here in Florida and get ready for the regular season. Bobby Davis Jr. is driving the Gambler chassis car again this year. It's the Moeller Brothers car, this year owned by Quentin Bammer out of California, and Bobby Davis is going to be a real threat for the Florida Series. He's got one of the best machines and the ability. Eastbay Raceway and hot lap stations are about to get underway. You know, the sophistication of equipment has really proven itself here in Florida over the past few years. We've had new track records almost every year at Eastbay. Going back to the very first year they raced, 1977, it was 17.221 was the track record set by Little Joe Saldana. And that record went down every year. In fact, the 15-second mark was broke February the 11th, 1983. Bobby Davis Jr. came back with a time of 14.448. And then in 1984, the first year the All-Star Circuit of Champions came to Florida, the track record at Eastbay was broken 16 times. And when it finally came to rest, Keith Kaufman out of Mifflintown, Pennsylvania, driving the Al Hamilton number 77 car, had the track record, a time of 13.759. And that's the mark that these drivers will be going for during this year's running. Previous winners of the Eastbay shows have been Paul Pitzer back in 1977. He won the first year. Doug Wolfgang's been tough to beat in Florida. He's had 5 victories. He won in 1978, 1979, 80, and 81. And then in 1982, the winner was Sammy Swindell, and he came back and did it again in 1984. Steve Kinzer was the winner last year, 1983. And Steve is not here this time. Steve's running the show at Volusia County Speedway.
My name's Roby Helm, and I'll be calling the fast and furious action for you tonight. We had a of course, the rain out on last night's show, and in case you're wondering, the show has been moved up one day, and the finals will be run on Sunday evening, beginning with time trials, or the first racing event, I believe, will be at 7 o'clock. Looking awfully fast out there. Greg and Kim Brevet working since early this morning, getting this track into shape after that heavy rain last night here at Eastbay Raceway. So 51 automobiles in the pit area getting set to shoot at that track record held by Keith Kaufman at 13.759 set last year here at Eastbay Raceway.
Now it's time for qualifications. That was the voice of Roby Helm, the announcer here at Eastbay Speedway. And the first car out is Randy Kinzer out of Bloomington, Indiana, driving the Jerry Shields number 56 car. He picks up the green flag from starter Harry D. And the clock is running. I'll point out now that the digital readout you see is the unofficial time from the race review video cameras. The time on the corner of the right-hand corner of the screen will be the official time, and Randy's is 14.336. Randy Kinzer in the 56 car, time of 14.336. Rodney Ritter in the 19 car next out. Rodney's also from Bloomington, Indiana. The car is owned by Rodney and Sue Ritter. Down the backstretch, Rodney goes through turns 3 and 4 on this short third-mile clay oval, picks up the checkered flag from starter Harry D, and his official time is 14.218 for Rodney Ritter. Fred Linder, the defending All-Star Circuit of Champions Sprint Car champion from Burgoon, Ohio, driving the Flake Kinema 3X car. That's an Osborne chassis with Gertie engines, and Freddie comes down and stops the clocks with a clocking of 14.246. Good time for Fred Linder. Next up is Ed Lynch Jr. in the 2 car. Ed's out of Apollo, Pennsylvania. It's a Carlton Hine is the owner sponsor of that car. I believe the owner is Ed Lynch Sr. Ed Lynch stops the clocks with a clocking of 14.203. That's the fast time so far this evening for Ed Lynch Jr. Next up, Rick Ferkel from Tiffin, Ohio, driving his own car this year. It's a Osborne chassis, Keir Speed Shop, one of Rick's sponsors, and Jim Darley, the wrench that worked with Rick for many years, is now back with Rick Ferkel. His clocking 14.349. Good time for Rick Ferkel. Next up, Bobby Davis Jr. He had the track record last year before losing it to Keith Kaufman. He's driving that Quentin Bammer Gambler down the backstretch. Just Memphis, Tennessee hot shoe is standing on the gas. It's down through turn 4, picks up the checkered flag. His first lap, 13.927, the first car in a 13-second bracket, and so far the fast time, but not a track record. Davis stands on the gas, right back in the motor. Coming through turn 4, stops the clocks the second lap with 13.628, a new track record.
New track record, 13.628.
Next up, a Florida driver, Roland Johnson, in the number 72 car. Roland's from Tampa, Florida. He drives the Protel Sprinter. Down the backstretch in a 72 car, coming through turns 3 and 4 on his third-mile oval. Roland stops the clock, clocking of 14.593. Next up is 13-year-old Jeff Gordon from Vallejo, California. And Jeff is just starting in sprint cars, a go-kart champion, a driver of quarter midgets, his first time in a sprint car. He's looking very smooth, very sure of himself. He comes down for a clocking of 16.11, and that's a little bit off the pace, but his official clocking on the second lap was 15.816, a little faster for Jeff Gordon. You watch this young driver, he gets better each day during the running of this year's Florida Nationals, and by the end of the week, we're really impressed with Jeff Gordon. Next up, Tony Wyant in the 38 car. Tony's out of Springfield, Illinois. He drives the Linko Sprinter, and he stops the clock with a fast time of 14.218, and that ties him for 5th fastest of the evening, Tony Wyant. Jack Hewitt from Troy, Ohio, driving the 31 car, owned by Don and Harold Nichols. That's a Gambler chassis. And Hewitt's a veteran driver of many years now and likes to stand on the gas and ride high. Hewitt's time, a clocking of 14.230. Good clocking for Jack Hewitt. That puts him in the top 10. Randy Smith, a new ride for Randy this year, driving the Chuck Murrow 5N construction sprint car. Randy's out of Iowa. looking very good in the Morrow construction car. He picks up a clocking of 14.480 for Randy Smith. Next up is another young driver, Sport Allen. Sport lives down in Florida. He's been running at Eastbay now for a few months and has already picked up a feature win. Sport Allen driving a new Nance chassis, looking good here at Eastbay Speedway as he picks up a clocking of 14.985 for Sport Allen. Next up, Dave Blaney, the defending 1984 Silver Crown titleist from the USAC Dirt Champ Car Division, former Rookie of the Year with the All-Stars. Dave out of Hartford, Ohio, driving for Dick Briscoe here in Florida. He picks up a clocking of 14.191, and that's second fast time for Dave Blaney, Hartford, Ohio, in the Dick Briscoe Sprinter.
The first lap time for Dave Blaney, that second fast time.
Kelly Kinzer, that 47 Butch and Janie Smith sprint car, an Osborne chassis with Goody engines. Kelly's second in 1984 in the All-Star Circuit of Champions. The year before, he was the Rookie of the Year, and he's looking real good as he comes down through turn 4, picks up the flag, a clocking at 14.649. Kelly Kinzer. Kenny Jacobs in the 4J car. Kenny out of Holmesville, Ohio, drives for Ed and Ken Reno. It's a Gambler chassis, Gertie engines, and the 4J of Kenny Jacobs stops the clocks with a clocking of 14.291 for Kenny Jacobs. Doug Wolfgang out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, driving the Bob Weichert Livestock number 29 car. And this year, it's a Trossel chassis. Used to drive Gamblers, but this year, it's a Trossel for Wolfgang. 14.285 is the time on Doug Wolfgang. That's seventh fast time of the evening. He's won more features in Florida than any other driver, and he'd like to do it again this year, now driving for the Bob Weichert team. Here's a rundown of the top qualifiers. It was Bobby Davis with a new track record of 13.62. Second fast was Dave Blaney, followed by Ed Lynch Jr., Rodney Ritter, Tony Wyatt, and Freddie Linder. Behind Linder was Doug Wolfgang with a 14.28. Next was Kenny Jacobs, followed by Randy Kinzer, Jack Hewitt, Rick Ferkel, Donnie Kreitz, and Frankie Kerr. There's your top 13 qualifiers. Remembering the top 10 qualifiers are guaranteed to start in tonight's 20-lap feature event that will be paying $3,000.